Congratulations, you've unlocked All Apologies, a show about apology tours and demanding satisfaction. I'm your host, Trucker Andy, and with me, as always, is your co-host, Joe Sixpack. Joe, what's going on?
Hey, everybody. Don't forget to go to allapologiespodcast.com to find all the links to the Patreon, Instagram, and all the other social media that Andy's active on. Coming off the holiday weekend, Andy, how'd it go for you? It was
It went great.
not sober.
Yeah, definitely not. We spent the holiday out in Buffalo, but I heard you spent your holiday tracking down someone akin to a Bigfoot or an urban legend. You had a spotting.
So
you got your period and you were spotting.
I was spotting, so I went to find somebody that I thought could help me with the feelings that I was having. So
somebody that helps their son with their spotting.
Yeah, right. So very, very coincidentally, based on Who Are These Socials and Carl and Blind Mike introducing the world to the Shoe Fits TikTok account, aka Woke Dad,
aka David Alexander,
aka Daniel Alexander. And it just so happens that
what I know.
My 4th of July experience was happening in the stomping grounds.
You don't have to dox where he is. You just know where he is.
I didn't. What?
No, you didn't. I'm just saying don't.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can easily figure it out. Anybody with, any motivation can figure out where to find him, because if you know the name of the coffee cart, just go to the Facebook page of Daniel, the Great Start Coffee Cart, and you can figure out where to find.
Did you recognize the cart from the Instagram, or how did you know where to find him?
Well, I went to his Facebook page, and it says, because it's a mobile coffee cart, it moves around. So it's just like, how is anybody going to find coffee in this fucking town? And I'll be perfectly honest. I got another cup of coffee down there this morning, and I'm like, this fucking coffee sucks. The one I got from Woke Dad was way better. So a little shout out to whoever his what do they call it? Roasters. His roasters doing a great job.
So I take some pictures, and I was trying to pinch and zoom on what his coffee beans were, because sometimes he goes on and on about how good the beans are.
Oh, I only wanted to take a picture of the little Lego people who are his his regulars or whatever. That was what I was trying to take a picture of when I didn't want. I was observe and report, everybody. I was not trying to do some gotcha moment on Woke Dad or anything like that. Maybe the next time I'll ask to get a selfie with him or something and shout. I'll be like, "Oh, I know the Shoe Fits from TikTok. I'm a big fan." But no, I really just wanted to see if he was where I thought he was, and he was. And I pulled in. I drive a black Explorer, so it looks maybe a little governmental, authoritarian or whatever. So there was somebody standing out front. He was chatting somebody up when I pulled in, and I didn't pull right up to the cart. And they were just kind of clocking me as I pulled in, because what I thought my interpretation of the situation is that he doesn't get a lot of outside of the regulars business. Anybody who's going there is kind of suspect. You're a strange man in a strange land when you arrive in the burg of where he is. And so I pulled up, and he was talking to some, hippie, they them out in front when I pulled up, and they kind of said goodbye to each other as I approached. Me and the other customer just kind of walked by each other as I approached. And I just asked for a large black coffee, and he seemed befuddled at the simplest of requests. I think
You
I
don't
said,
want
give me
any life advice? I'm also doling out life lessons.
right. I said, give me a black coffee, and he's like, what size? And I'm like, large. Give me a large black coffee, which he did, and then I paid with a 20, and he gave me, I think it was like 4.45 or something like that. So he gave me a 10, a 5, and a handful of change, and he's always trying to rehab this art studio. So I dropped the change into his change bucket, and I said, "Well, give me 5 singles. I'll give you." I said, "Do you have any ones? I tip. I'm a tipper. Who isn't?" So I'm like, give me some singles." So he broke my 5, and I dropped another buck, and he seemed very, very happy for the tip. But it was a normal, all very normal. I will say the coffee cart sits up high, so it's like, and he has like a Labrador's head. He came off very larger than life to me because he was above me, looking down on me. His head seemed enormous. Not,
He
not
looks like a pop of vinyl.
yeah, yes, he was a Funko Pop, and they should make a Funko Pop of Woke Dad. But very, very normal experience. Like I said, I was only there. It was like just trying to discover El Dorado. I wasn't trying to steal the gold out of El Dorado. I just wanted to find it, and I did. And anybody who wants to go get coffee from Woke Dad, hit me up. I'll let you know where it is.
Yeah. You told him to have the day he deserves when you left.
I did. I said thank you for being an ally to trans people, and I walked away. That was very, very. I had to get to work. Even though I was working from my vacation destination. I was still working that day, so I didn't have time to fuck around with Woke Dad. I didn't have time to collab on a TikTok dance with Woke Dad or whatever. I'm like, what if I get him? Like, what if he and I are just like holding hands and laying in the grass, looking at the clouds and shit? I'm like trying to think of all this shit that I can do with him, but I didn't. I didn't attempt to do anything. I didn't want to rattle an already like emotionally fragile man, or what I perceived to be an emotionally fragile man.
Yeah, but don't scare him away. You need to.
Yeah. I want to set it up for further. I want him to come to DabbleCon is what I want. I was just like, dude, I'm like, park that fucking coffee cart out in front of the Carlson, man. You'll fucking make a mint.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, enough about that freak show. Let's move on to another freak show. And this week we are talking about Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has no shortage of scandals and like media frenzy moments where we just wanted to go back and recount some of his less than finer points. But before we get there, let's talk about the likability of Tom Cruise. Everybody likes, despite all of the Scientology stuff and the ranting and raving and his off-screen antics, the Mission Impossible movies are pretty much beloved by everybody, right?
Let's even rewind all the way back to, let's say starting in The Outsiders, right? And then Risky Business, like the storied career, leading man, one of the last Hollywood leading men icons, somebody that can open a movie consistently, and you can bank a bankable actor when you pay them $20 million a movie. It used to be, right? I think that's probably chump change at this point. But it used to be that was like the benchmark of just like Tom Cruise gets paid $20 million, and you can count on that man to bring in an audience to the theaters in the summertime for a blockbuster. That's the reputation that he had all the way up. I was trying to think of, at least for like A Few Good Men, till that point, undisputable talent, like likability. Let's call it.
Yeah,
I would say people would say he doesn't act. It's just Tom Cruise in a movie, right?
Basically, yeah, I feel that way. Oh, my ring light died. Who cares? But yeah, very few misses. Like Oblivion or some something, you know,
Right.
throwaway movie where that actually wasn't that great. But mostly you can count on having a good time when you go to a Tom Cruise film.
Here's a
And
hot take. Here's a hot take, everyone.
mhm.
Magnolia sucks, and Paul Thomas Anderson is a fucking shit director. I don't give a fuck about there might be blood, there will be blood, or any of that bullshit. I call Magnolia a fucking blemish.
I'm sorry, dude. I was trying to set up the clip. Sorry.
I call Magnolia a blemish on Tom Cruise's career.
Yeah. At least he tried something different in that. It's not bad because of him, though. You know what I mean?
He was very anti-hero in that, playing against type.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm trying to think of like some of the other ones that maybe
Eyes Wide
where
Shut
he
would have
tried
been
to
a like
take.
hard departure, but he was working with Kubrick, so it was like a real big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he gets this reputation of being basically box office gold, and people don't really know the Scientology side of him for a while. You know, it doesn't really come to light exactly what a crackpot he is. But this is pre-social media. He's been a movie star forever, so not everybody has a phone in their pocket. Not you know, all of the press tours and stuff are pretty well orchestrated by the studio. So his personal life isn't as well documented. And as people get cell phones and people have, you know, it's more and more easy to put things on the internet, it starts to unfold. His personal life starts to unfold more, and people realize more about his involvement in Scientology, right? But just before we get into that, they used to feature him on the MTV Movie Awards, and one year they did. Was Ben Stiller was what something about Mary was huge, and Mission Impossible 2 was huge, and they decided to kind of put the chocolate in the peanut butter with this bit on the MTV Movie Awards, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think to kind of maybe elaborate a little bit more on what you were saying, I think, you know, I think he dated Mimi Rogers for a little bit, which was like she was older, he was younger. So there's always kind of like this little bit of like, he's kind of, we don't know what to make of him or whatever. But so this was definitely for Mission Impossible 2 is when this was happening. So Ben Stiller had his MTV show and things like that and everything. And I don't think Ben Stiller was as big as he is. But you said something about Mary. That might be true too. But yeah, so Ben Stiller was kind of broke out this Tom Cruise character. He had developed an impression, you know, and obviously imitation is the highest form of flattery, right? So they got Ben Stiller and Tom Cruise together to do a little sketch.
I'm gonna go get a bagel.
Yeah.
You want something?
No, I'm good, Tom.
All right, okay.
I'm good.
All right,
All right,
okay. We've worked together for so long now. It's almost like I don't know. It's kind of like we almost finish each other's sentences, kind of.
I mean, I don't think we've ever finished each other's
sentences.
Yeah, so that it would be, you know, kind of the flattery there that I think Tom Cruise is probably somebody who like responds heavily to flattery of just like, oh, you came up with an impression of me, we're best friends now, because he and Ben Stiller did kind of, you know, work a bit together, and we'll come back to that later in the story. But
I bet, yeah,
yeah,
it seems
so
to maybe be the origin story of where we're going to end up with this Tom Cruise story. But I think that's pretty funny to note that they found the one guy that's shorter than Tom Cruise to put him in a sketch with to make him look like a larger than life guy, because he's famously, I mean, you and I aren't tall. I think Tom Cruise is about as tall as you and I think 5'9".
He might be. I think he might be 5'8". I think he's one of those notoriously shorter Hollywood guys who's like wearing lifts and elevator shoes to, you know, stand next to Nicole Kidman or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably a source of shame for him that his wife is a good 6 inches taller than him.
Former wife.
Right, former wife, which leads me to our next clip here when he was married to Nicole Kidman for about 10 years. They have 2 children together that live in Australia, I believe. And they eventually, things fell apart for him because he's probably pretty hard to live with, I would assume. So they break up, and then Oprah invites him to some fundraising gala where he eventually meets Katie Holmes, who he is now no longer married to either. But when their relationship first was coming to light, he made this appearance on Oprah, which is the famous he's just going to set the stage that he's very excited to have met Katie Holmes, and we'll get to exactly how excited in the next clip.
Something happened to you.
What happened? That's my new favorite quote of Stuttering John.
What
I can't stop doing it. It's so annoying. I walk around doing it to my cat so my wife won't punch me in the face. What happened? So Tom Cruise goes to a charity fundraiser with Katie Holmes where he realizes that his publicist has told him that he's in love with her, and
she's open to joining Scientology.
Yeah, it's like a big rumor that he's like secretly gay. They try and say everybody in Scientology is secretly gay, right? Like John Travolta.
Well, yeah, there's just so many secrets, so this must just be one of them. I think it's pedophile. It's probably just pedophilia and molestation, but sure, yeah, they're gay. That's like that's not even freaking controversial enough anymore.
I know. That's a best case scenario. They're like, yeah, gay. Let's go with that.
Yeah, he's gay for sure.
Gay's not illegal. Let's go with that. Okay, so
consensually and legally gay. Yeah.
Yeah. So how excited is Tom Cruise to be together with Katie Holmes?
You are gone.
I'm not going to pretend.
I can see you're not. You know, Katie once told 17 magazine. Yes. The boy is gone.
Okay, so that's the famous couch jumping scene where he's just. It happened a couple of times. He was turning it into a bit because he was.
He had already done it a couple of times.
He did it twice. I thought I put it together. I fucked up the clip. That's my bad. But yeah, so that's where people are just like, it's like that Howard Dean yelling.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
People might not remember that in one of the elections. Was it the Obama race?
Yeah, that might be right.
When there was a third party candidate that everybody was just like, well, I'm not going to vote for a black guy. So what's up with Howard Dean? And Howard Dean went to this rally where he just started screaming like a lunatic, and everybody it was just like, well, I guess it's Obama then.
It wasn't even that bad, like.
No, it wasn't.
But God forbid you get a little excited about what's going on, and then everybody's just like, he's unhinged. Okay.
Yeah. He can't control himself. Well, yeah, he's getting to bang Katie Holmes. I would be excited too.
Right. That's the thing is just was gorgeous, off the heels of Dawson's Creek. Everybody was obsessed with that show and her in that show. And then it comes out that, yeah, she always had like a girlhood crush on Tom Cruise and she'd be open to dating him. And lo and behold, it happens. Right. So he was, thrilled at that.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be?
So that is the beginning where like the veil starts to slip, right? And people are just like, what is up with Tom Cruise? He's in this Church of Scientology, which people know very little about, except that it seems to be stocked with a lot of famous millionaires. And
you have to buy your way in.
Right. And then, this, so people start kind of paying closer attention to that. And one of those people is Peter Overton from 60 Minutes. And he's trying to maybe give an unknowing public an overview about Scientology. And he starts asking Tom Cruise questions about it and brings up maybe its reputation that the general public has about it to Tom. And you could just see how protective Tom Cruise is over his relationship with the Church of Scientology. But to kick this off, he wants to ask Peter Overton wants to ask Tom Cruise all the things about his failed marriage with Nicole Kidman and Scientology. So we're going to get some great moments out of these clips. And this is, hang on, I just want to line this up.
But Scientologists believe we are spiritual beings in control of our own destiny, and that therapies like psychiatry wrongly label individuals. The message struck a chord with the young Cruise at a time when he was struggling with dyslexia.
I had what absolutely they defined as learning disabilities, dyslexia.
That's what you were diagnosed that you had?
Sure, absolutely. That's what they do. You've got ADD, ADHD, and you go, what is the solution to that? Well, there isn't a solution. And now today it's take drugs. They actually wanted to put me on drugs. My mother wouldn't let them back then. And then when a friend of mine actually gave me this, it was actually this picture book about suppression, and social and antisocial personalities. And I was like, what is this? He said Scientologist. I said, oh, I'm very interested. And that's when I became a Scientologist about 20 years ago.
Now, these are defining behaviors, right? The ADD and ADHD are better medical descriptions than spaz and weird loser. They're like, why is this person behaving this way? Let's call this ADD. It's like you have to define it somehow. Mm-hmm. It's not something that L. Ron Hubbard wrote in a book, so it doesn't exist to Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Well, way back when they couldn't define any of that, right? If you didn't look like Tom Cruise and you acted this way, it was that SNL, like geek dweeb or spaz, right? Like you're a fucking spaz, right? Tom Cruise was a spaz.
Yeah,
is how we would have.
Tom Cruise. Seven-year-old Tom Cruise was definitely a fucking spaz kid.
Right. So he was like a spaz that everybody kind of was just like, this kid won't slow down, and for like way back when, parents probably were just like kicking him out the back door, like, go fucking chop a tree down or, run a mile, get the fuck out of here, and that was how people handled it way back when. And now there's a lot more research and things like that on it, and things, probably treatments that don't have anything to do with medication, or they're much more kind in managing a young people's behaviors a lot better now. But back then it's just like, we don't have time for this shit. If you can't sit still, then you're going to the fucking principal's office.
Yeah. And Peter went to what I can only describe as a nightmarish 4-hour-long indoctrination session at the Celebrity Scientology Center, because I'm sure Tom Cruise was like, you have to go and do this, or else I'm not going to do the interview. It seems like that was the case. Peter was going to talk a little bit more about it here.
Tom Cruise's office has asked me to come to the Scientology Celebrity Center in Los Angeles to embark on a 4-hour crash course in Scientology and what it's all about.
Why then was it a condition of me talking to you today that I had to spend quite an intense 4.5 hours in the Church of Scientology here in Los Angeles?
Oh, you didn't have to. You could have said no.
But I felt I had to.
Okay, well, that's how you felt.
Mm.
People are interested in Scientology, and I find that people wanted to know.
Mm.
They want to know about it. And it's also, there's people out there that want help and that need help.
Would you also agree, though, Tom, that there's a perception out there that it gets bad press, cult-like secrecy, controlling, and you almost have to defend it?
I don't feel it's ignorance breeds bigotry,
Right.
breeds racism. Okay.
Oh, it's a race now.
It's not racism, unless it's an alien race.
Yeah. Well, I could have said no, but you said you wouldn't do this interview if I didn't, and I want to hear all about why Nicole Kidman left you. And it only cost 60 minutes production, $2,500 for me to take your 4-hour course. You're chiseling money out of Hollywood any way you know how, but I'm going to take it out on you on national television now. So,
well, fair, and also fair enough, right? I mean, I either had to pay for this 4-hour course or whatever, so you got your money. So I'll talk to you any way I want then and call your religion a cult.
Yeah.
Fine.
And guess what? That's what's going to happen, because Peter wants to know what Tom thinks about the crackpot perception of Scientology.
You have been there and you've seen it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you feel discriminated against when people say this is what Scientology is, that you're a bunch on a lunatic fringe or whatever? Does that,
Peter?
Tom?
No one's ever said that to me.
But no, I mean that perception out there.
Yeah, but that's not the perception out there.
Mm.
That is absolutely,
yes, it is.
Maybe from your perspective.
This isn't my personal opinion. I'm just saying, how do you feel about that when people...
Well, how would you feel?
Oh, if it was my faith, I'd feel
not even your own faith. I find that appalling when people who don't know what they're talking about say things like that.
Mm.
I think it's appalling. I think it's appalling that they're still burning synagogues in France. I think it's appalling how certain Muslims are being treated. I think it's absolutely appalling when we talk about freedom of speech and human rights. I think it's appalling that they electric shock people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's appalling that they drug children. I think it's appalling that they say that there are no solutions for those things. I think it's appalling that people have to live a life of drug addiction. Okay, when I have personally helped people get off drugs.
Wow.
He's not wrong.
Well, okay. Well, those are two different things, though. How many Scientologists are in Saudi Arabia? Probably a grand total of 0. And I think it's appalling that when a chiropractor tells me to hold a crystal and wear yellow glasses and it's going to cure my arthritis. And I think it's appalling when an insurance company makes me try a 3-month-long dietary regimen instead of giving me a proven IV drip because they don't want to pay for the fucking procedure. And I think it's appalling that an organization hooks me up to jumper cables and tells me that the arbitrary reading of the needle says that my anxiety is cured as long as I give them $900 a month to hang out with Danny Masterson. That's fucking appalling.
Well, Andy, I rode my cart into town and told you that this oil that I got from a snake will cure all that ails you. Okay, there's a storied history in this country of capitalism and not taxing these people over here due to their beliefs. Okay, and if we can combine these two things, then I think that maybe we've caught lightning in my snake oil bottle that that I can give to you tax free. What do you think about that? Is that appalling?
Yeah, I think.
Are you appalled by America, Andy?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not appalled that there's money to be made off of morons. I'm not appalled by that, no.
Hey,
but
one of the best freedoms in this country is the freedom to be bilked out of your own fucking money.
Yeah, yes. But don't sit there and get indignant when I don't buy what you're selling.
Well, I mean, that's just...
You're going to go on 60 Minutes and yell at me that I don't want to buy your snake oil?
Well, that's the propaganda of it, right? That's the media part of it. That's the machine. That's why he is who he is in the religion, because of that right there.
Sure.
You know, the challenges that he's overcome due to being a Scientologist, the fame that he's achieved. I would say he achieved it before he was a Scientologist, but whatever. That's why Dave Miscavige sucks him off and not Travolta.
Yeah. That's why he's on a rocket ship to a new planet when this
To
one goes to shit.
Xenu's bathhouse.
Yeah. And let's see. Peter wants Tom to speak to the experience his children are having being raised in an environment of Scientology and celebrity.
Here's the point. Everybody's different, Peter. I don't buy into this whole thing of being normal. There's no such thing as normal. When you really look at someone's life and you look into their life, everyone has a story.
Yeah.
Everyone has something that is going on that is very unique to them. So that, with regards to our children, it's, I think they feel very fortunate for the life they have, and they're really good people.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's good, Tom, because nobody thinks anything you're doing now or then is normal.
Andy, here's a point. How much help can I get for free?
Yeah.
If I don't pull my wallet out, how much help will I get? That's what I want to know. No.
I know. Where's the Scientology Outreach Center handing out sandwiches and Thetan readings to the homeless population in LA?
How many homeless people are going clear?
They seem to have a lot of problems down there. Maybe if they were going clear, they'd get back on track. Tom, you said you were personally helping people get off drugs. What's the problem over there in LA?
Before we keep going, or maybe I'll wait for you to finish this package and then we'll talk about it as we transition into something else.
I only have like 3 more in this.
Okay.
Because this clip right here is my favorite clip from everything that I pulled today.
Yeah.
Peter wants to know, this is just a landmine question. This is a trap. This is designed to elicit a reaction. Tom Cruise's marriage to Nicole Kidman has fallen apart. They're not together. I don't know why, what Peter's point of asking this is, but Tom's reaction to it is hilarious and perfect.
Was Nicole the love of your life?
What do you mean, Peter?
You were married for 10 years.
Listen, we raised children. I mean, how do you answer that? How do you answer that question?
What do you mean? That woman that left me because she didn't want to spend time with me anymore? Is she the love of my life?
That's absolutely. Ask George Clooney. Ask Brad Pitt. Ask fucking Leonardo DiCaprio. That's absurd. Okay,
there's 2 women sucking my dick right now, Peter. Am I upset?
Right. I could walk in the street. I could walk out in the street right now and get laid. What are you talking about? At the time, of course, that's how I felt when we got married, right? But whatever, it didn't work out. It's absolutely absurd. I mean, I think there's normal people who would be like, I'll never love again. I did that. This was my person who either left me or died, and I'll just be alone for the rest of my life. It's not rich, handsome Tom Cruise. That's he'll find love again. Don't worry.
Nobody's worried about Tom Cruise.
Fucking outrageous.
Peter, is she the love of your life? I just love that. What do you mean? Why would you ask me that?
Which life? This life or the one I'll have on Thetan 2730 with fucking Xenu and L. Ron Hubbard's second coming? What the fuck is this?
It's not lost on Tom that Peter is asking these personal questions to drum up ratings, right? I mean, that's the only reason to ask these questions. You wouldn't ask these types of questions to anyone under any circumstance unless it was like your best girlfriend and you're 4 mimosas deep at brunch. It's the only time to ask that question, not on 60 Minutes, but it's not going to stop Peter.
And do you have a relationship where you talk? It's a parenting relationship, and talk professionally about each other's.
Why don't we? Listen? Here's the thing, Peter. Yeah. You're stepping over a line now. You're stepping over a line. You know you are.
Well, I suppose they're questions that people want to know.
Peter, you want to know. Take responsibility for what you want to know. Don't say what other people. This is a conversation that I'm having with you right now.
You're right.
Okay. So I'm just telling you right now. Okay. Just put your manners back in.
Do you think I was out of line?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I apologize for that sincerely.
Hey, we got our apology out of this.
Yeah.
And the real answer is none of your fucking business, Peter.
Right.
Mind your fucking business.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, Tom Cruise is well trained in this, but he's also displaying a very obvious lack of understanding of the perception of the world, of himself and of Scientology in the world. He's been shielded from it, apparently, at least at this stage of where he's being interviewed by him. Hey, the world perceives Scientology as complete lunacy, and Tom's like, what? what do you mean? Nobody thinks that. Thing. No, we all think it. That's propaganda that you show at every fucking event in Scientology that says we're saving the world and we've rescued 1 million African children this year and keep donating and it's all going great. Everyone, that you've been brainwashed and you're the victim of propaganda and you don't even know it. He doesn't even know it.
Everybody at the beginning of this interview, he goes, "No one's ever said that to me.
Yeah,
why would they? No one ever would." The first thing everybody says is, "I love the color of money." Nobody says, "I love the color of money." By the way, Scientology is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, let me go get my. Yeah, the posters hanging. Well, we'll get to it. I'll go on. I'll love bomb Tom Cruise in a minute. Keep going.
Okay, this is the last 60-minute clip, and now. He's trying to tell you that you've gone about Peter. Tom's trying to tell Peter that he's gone about this interview in like the whole wrong way. If you're trying to get like more answers out, you already said it. Tom responds to compliments. Tom gives Tom's love language is compliments. I've seen like other clips of him going to McDonald's and sweet talking the girl behind the counter and just saying what a nice smile everybody has. And he wants everybody to tell him what a great actor he is, even though he's done the same character in every movie he's ever been in. But
why are you being mad, bro?
Yeah. So this is just him just trying to get this fucking idiot to move on to something that isn't about his failed marriage.
Place where the world does want to know about your personal life, and there is a line that you have to draw.
Absolutely. I mean, I know people are interested. I don't have a problem with that. And I also don't have a problem to say, hey, listen, you know, where I am with Nick is in a great place. I don't mind answering questions, but there's a way of phrasing something that's polite and has manners and things that I say, you know what, I wouldn't answer that to someone coming up to me at a party. Yeah. I have no problem. Of course, I know people want to know about my life.
Yeah. But when I read so much about you, Tom, these are questions you answer.
Peter, you want to waste your time on this right now?
Don't.
Or do you want to ask some other questions?
20 years' time, where will Tom Cruise?
Good. You want to move on? Peter, come on. Let's go, man.
20 years' time, he's still killing it. How about that, Peter? Where are you? Shut the fuck up.
Right. But I mean, that's what he said. Who's just, well, I read all these other things where you answer these types of questions. That's because they buttered him up first. They don't come in hot like a hard-on with no lube, Peter.
They made a tremendous donation to the Church of Scientology, so they get to write whatever they want. Okay, so we're going to jump around a little bit. Maybe we should do let's do the squirting microphone part, because I think it demonstrates what we've seen here is a well-practiced media interviewee. That is Tom Cruise, has been highly trained in how he deals with the media, how he conducts himself in public.
He's
And
probably a better publicity machine than he is an actor.
For sure, I would say they go hand in hand. I would also say the guy's been acting since he was a child. He's been acting like he could read. He's been acting like he didn't have a learning disability. He's been acting like he's not hyperactive for his entire life. He's been acting forever in these ways. And what I wanted to say before we kind of keep going is I love Tom Cruise. Okay. Even all the fucking science, the nuttiness. I have a soft spot for lunatics. I love Mariah Carey. I love Wendy Williams. I love Tom Cruise. I love maniacs. Okay. I like them. And I like them unapologetically manic and crazy and whatever. And Tom Cruise is one of these. The guy, you cannot name a harder worker, a guy who is just like consistently killing it right now. Like every Mission Impossible at this point, which just seems to be the only movies really left that are being made, and we're going to get to that in the COVID rant package that I have. But there is not a harder worker, and I think
doing your own stunts, for God's sake.
The stunts. I think it all comes back to, if I can't learn it, I'm going to have to outperform it, right? Like I'm going to have to physically be excellent because the way I learn is different than everybody else. And so just the work ethic, like yeah, I mean, he comes off strange, he comes off eccentric, he comes off like a religious nut job. I'm sure all of this is true as well. I think Tom Cruise is one of these guys where I would be like, everything you've heard about Tom Cruise is true. At one point it was true or whatever. But what I'll always come back to is nobody can open a movie. Nobody works harder. No, and just like the work ethic alone, I admire beyond compare. I'll go back even into our 20s. Andy and I would always be like, well, I got to go get a fucking haircut. I don't know what haircut I'm going to get. It would be like, well, what's Tom Cruise doing with his hair right now? Because our hair is like, it looks like Tom Cruise hair. Like it has the same, shape and feel. I'll just cut my hair however Tom Cruise is cutting it. That's what's fashionable right now. It's definitely like, for everything that we're going to see and all the shit that I'll talk about or whatever, I have tremendous respect for the work ethic involved in everything that he does. I'll just leave that part there. So, the Katie Holmes part and then Andy's package, with Matt Lauer and everything that we're going to get to, this was all part of the tour, the press tour for War of the Worlds. I think this might be the first time that he worked with Steven Spielberg. I mean, they did the Minority Report together. I don't know if they did anything else, but I think maybe War of the Worlds might have been their first project together. So Steven Spielberg directed project, Tom Cruise starring project, and they're doing
all the makings of a summer blockbuster.
Oh yeah, I think you and I have started talking about this a little bit more. The quote unquote art of a well-oiled marketing machine is lost in this modern media landscape. They don't have the Dragnet song with the Dragnet movie. They don't have Will Smith starring and rapping about the same shit, and they don't have the biggest director working with the biggest movie star. These things just aren't as important as they used to be. But back in the day, it was like you can't open a movie without doing these things, or if you're not doing them, you're failing. So in this clip package here, Tom Cruise is doing press for War of the Worlds, and here it's just a normal interview. In this clip here.
Well, it's stressful.
Is it funny?
Structurally, it's true to form. Structure, story. It's got a family.
I left that in because I find it very interesting, especially the body language and the mannerisms and the way that he just kind of like positions himself as an authority on the subject almost. He's just like, oh, it's a classic story. It's about a family. It's funny. It's this. And then he's just like, oh, structurally. And he kind of like takes a step back and he kind of reapproaches in this like very studious, like professor mannerism of let me tell you about Hollywood and storytelling and things like that. And so just like the way he did that, it just struck me as like strange, but it's also
Practiced.
very practiced, right? Like it's the way it's just like he's drawing you in. He's treating you like as an equal. Like, oh, I can dive deeper with you because you're interested or something like that, right? That's how it came off to me, and that's why I left it in. So in this next clip, this is where things get a little out of hand.
Well, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Come here. Come here. Why would you do that?
I mean,
Because I thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, because I wanted to see what Peter Miscavige sees all the time, which is liquid spraying all over your face. Listen to the fucking crowd there. Also, what composure by him in that moment, by the way. Like, he laughs a little bit about it, and then, but then, like, the reality of it also kicks in. Also, what I'll say about this is
time here, dude.
Not even that. That could be dangerous, right? Like, you don't know, like, who's doing that? What is this liquid? What? Like, he was assaulted. I mean, in a way, you know. I mean, it's very benign, but if you wanted to go crazy with the scenario, like, what if it's anthrax? What if you're throwing acid in his face? What if you're fucking Mark David Chapman? You know, we don't know who the fuck's here.
A bigger asshole would have you, you know, escorted out at best and arrested at worst.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But he, and I think this is the Scientology side. I know nothing about Scientology. All I know is the one thing. Aside from like all the alien stuff, I know that the thing that they always say is that like it's up to us to save the world. Like they think that they are the only people that can save the world. And so he kind of like laughs it off, but he's just like, oh, this has become a teachable moment. And he like grabs him by the hand. He's like, oh no, you're not going anywhere right now. We're going to get some fucking answers here. And that leads us into...
Sit next to me on the bed. We're going to have a lecture. I'm going to lecture you about why you're an asshole and why you won't be saved when it comes time for me to save everyone.
Right. When Xenu the Destroyer comes to evaporate this planet, you are not coming with us. And let me tell you why.
What's up, guys? It was just too much Tom Cruise to be contained to one episode. We went on and on and on and on about Tom Cruise and his many divorces and his many children and his antics and his opinions. So we're going to break this up into 2 episodes for you, and this is the end of part 1, but I hope you can come back next week for part 2. So until then, stay sorry.